Hi Mahesh, welcome to the IKC Community Show. Thank you for joining me again. I think we met last at the India Kitchen Congress.
That's right.
When you were, speaking so eloquently about customer experience and the tenets of omni-channel in kitchen retail.
True.
So that was an amazing talk that you had there.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to share what you know to people from the community, right? So you're able to relate to them, and you're also able to share something that you know, and then learn a lot from them. So it was a wonderful day of learning from the others as well. So thanks for that to you.
No, but every time I speak with you, I feel so much of knowledge flowing, out of you, from you. It's amazing. And it's not surprising because you spent almost 30 years in the furniture industry.
Yeah, close to that, yeah. You can say that, yeah.
A long time, and you worked with all the top brands.
Yeah, true. So with quite a few of the players who actually were pioneers in their own trade. So way back, my first stint was, into the furniture line was with Blowplast. So we were called BP Ergo, Blowplast Ergonomics, and pioneer in modular office furniture. So, and those were days when people used to ask what modular meant. So, those were days when we actually had to explain the difference between our carpentry and modular. And thankfully, we've quite moved a lot from that. From there on, the journey started. Then did a home furniture stint with them. Brought in furniture from overseas, traded it across India. Then worked with the Future Group for a while. Part of creating this wonderful concept called Hometown. Those days, the 100,000+ square feet at Noida, a lot of stores across the country, furniture, furnishings, home decor. So I used to lead the furniture line of business there. And then, of course, I worked with Style Spa, again, a very renowned name, where we took the store count, the retail store count to over 100 stores across the country in 65, 70 cities.
Wow.
With our own manufacturing. And then, offering lifestyles to customer, again, from knockdown furniture and ready to assemble furniture. And then the last decade, in fact, I would say more than a decade, I've been here in Pune, the wonderful city of Pune and its beautiful weather, and working with a great concept called Creaticity, formerly Ishanya. And this is a place that's helped me to go beyond and above what typically happens in home retail. So you look at various aspects of the entire customer journey and try to address each of those customer journey touch points. So it's been an interesting journey all the way. And along the way, obviously, a lot of people that I met, a lot of gurus that I met, and a lot of peers that I met have shared so much of knowledge, and I don't shy away from saying that I don't know. So as long as I say I don't know, I'm able to get a lot more information that otherwise I would have not been able to get, and try to absorb it and channelize it in the right way, in the right. That's
right. Right. And I think during COVID, you also ventured into academics and
oh yeah, so it's not during COVID. So the COVID period was when actually I was able to find that extra time to complete my doctoral research. I started this journey way back in 13-14.
Okay.
And in 2021, I completed the journey of probably completing arguably one of the very few, I would say, PhD degrees in furniture retail.
Okay.
The category of furniture. So very interesting times, very exciting knowledge dissemination, knowledge accumulation that happened during that period. So yeah, I'm blessed that I was able to do it from a fabulous institute with extreme rigor and something relevant to industry, talking about omni-channel retail in the furniture category, and then trying to see what are the aspects that one needs to be aware of when venturing into omni-channel retail, and how do you acquire customers, how do you influence customer patronage. So very interesting. I'll probably along the way share some right insights at the right time. So let's hope I get an opportunity for that as well, Deepak.
So now I think you've got this very ominous moniker, Dr. M.
Yeah, Dr. M. Yeah, why not? So,
By the way, did James Bond report to you?
oh, no, so as long as it doesn't become dial M for murder, I'm okay. So Dr. M is good. So in fact, I used to be in my earlier, one of my earlier articles, people used to call me only as M, and now of course it's become Dr. M. So I love that tag. Why not? Good to carry that tag.
Well, you've seen so much of furniture business and home improvement in your earlier days, and now, as you mentioned, over a decade, from the seller's side, almost facing the customer, so to say. During the time you built up Creaticity into one of the finest retail destinations for furniture. So what's happening in the Indian home decor and furniture market? Could you tell us a bit about what are the dynamics of this industry?
Sure. So I'll probably would love to take a step back and look at how organized retail in India has sort of been nurtured over these years for the last close to 2 decades. I'm talking of specifically furniture and home interior retail.
Right.
So it's gone through its, I would say, pangs of growth over the first decade, maybe from 2000 to 2010. And 2010 onwards, there's been a steady uptick in terms of acceptance of organized retail. Having said that, we still are, I would say, hovering at around 15% of the entire size of the market, and which runs into lakhs of crores. It's insane. So I don't want to get into that. But the organized market, interestingly, we are probably the fifth largest furniture market in the world. That's what statistic that I read out of a report told us, that we are the fifth largest furniture market. Just behind the developed markets and I mean China to that matter. So which means that there is a huge opportunity. At the same time, the other side of it is that we have the lowest per capita being spent on furniture.
Furniture, right.
And again, the numbers say that we are 84th in that, while we are the fifth largest. So look at the dichotomy of the number. We are the fifth largest in terms of furniture as a market. We are also the 84th in terms of per capita consumption. So you look at it as a half glass full and say that there's huge opportunity, there's enough headroom for us to grow from 84 to even 50, would literally mean an amazing kind of jump that you'll see in terms of consumption. So this is the a perspective from more the macro numbers. From a consumer side, right? From a consumer perspective, 3 or 4 things have happened over the last decade or so, and these need to be made note of. Also, they also may serve as learning ground for the next decade. So the first thing that I would say is there's a huge amount of urbanization that's happening. And when I say urbanization, I'm talking of urbanization across the country, and it's happening in tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So, I mean, everybody knows the standard example that one gives of the rising e-commerce, internet penetration, and all of that. That apart, the urbanization in terms of the mindset, right, is also is a big thing that has happened over the last decade or so. So, along with the urbanization, you also are seeing a rising middle class. This again is at the macroeconomic or macro social perspective. There's a rising middle class. And that middle class is what's going to be a major consumer. I always call it the middle of the belly, right? So while the bottom of the pyramid has been spoken and it continues to be whatever it is, and the top remains the top, right? So the middle of the belly is where the rising incomes of the middle class are going to help. The third aspect is that these people are also now much more well informed and much more aware of what's happening in this trade, right? So unlike where earlier when we had to refer to certain trade magazines or we had to refer to specific, I would say, websites and I'm talking of just to acquire knowledge, or you had to lean on somebody to give you some expert advice. Now there are enough opportunities for one to absorb knowledge and absorb information. So these three things, in a way, are shaping the way Indian home retail and home interior retail is going to go forward. This has happened in the last 8 to 10 years, and the adoption of e-commerce in home retail is a in a sense a proof of concept, right? So you'll see that rapid urbanization, rising middle class, along with that the rising incomes, and then the awareness, right? So the familiarity and awareness, all these are combined to help the e-commerce in a category which is highly touch and feel, right? In a category that highly touch and grow. Having said that, it's still surprisingly or still low compared to what probably is there in the developed markets, and a lot more space. But the movement that you see in e-commerce within this category is proof that the dynamics are going to be largely driven by the digital ecosystem. That's where I would go.
Allow me to interrupt here.
Yeah.
When you mention urbanization, are we talking about the movement of people from the rural to the urban? Or is it more development across the country in terms of new urban centers coming?
It is twofold. The first one, I mean, the urbanization in terms of the entire infrastructural improvements that are happening, therefore making the rural shift to urban. One is the people moving is what you're talking about. That's the migrant movement, thanks to IT, thanks to services and so on. That's part one. And second is the entire infrastructural improvements that are happening, which are making the tier 2 and tier 3 also as urbanized as probably what tier 1 is. So, today what we see in Mumbai is what you will see in an Indore, and is what you will see in a Shimoga, is probably what you will see also in a tier 3 tone. So I'm saying that it means that there's at least a commonality of mindset. Of course, the segments will be there, and people will say the city is different, and that
States will be different.
Yeah, right. So that's going to be there. But if you do a normal distribution, I think most of the customers will fall into that the whole space of getting urbanized in the mind.
Okay.
So that's what I meant when I said urbanization. It's a physical plus psychological development that's happened.
That means the desire to have a good interior, interior design used to be at one time a concept for the luxury segment, people who could afford to spend a lot of money. But most of the people or lots of people were in the make do mode.
Correct.
Interior design is not for us. You need an interior designer, you need more expensive. Now it's different.
So the shift from being elitist to democratized, right? So that's happened in a large way, and thanks to a lot of players out there who've democratized design and the entire design process, and also made it far more accessible, far more visible, telling them that these are the steps in how the design of your home can happen. So the aspirations have been not only tickled, but the aspirations have actually been sort of brought to the surface thanks to all these players who've been doing quite a good job at that. And then, of course, as I said, the customers, because of their because of their awareness, the availability of information at their fingertips, and also access to information, they are able to reciprocate. And so when there is a customer who is informed, and there is a brand or a service provider who is willing to offer, then it's but obvious that there is a possibility of a marriage happening.
What's the impact of real estate development? The new real estate that's coming in. Pune is, I think, a hotbed of real estate growth, and one of the finest market in terms of demand and supply.
So for me, real estate development is a lead indicator of or a big lead indicator for the business that will happen in home interiors. So real estate development, typically in the last few years, especially post-COVID, has been pretty buoyant, right? Registrations are on the rise, new inventory is coming into the system. The inventory overhang, which was significant earlier, is reducing. People are occupying spaces. Investor-led apartments and rents are there, but not as much. Now it's far more for the occupant rather than for investment. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think the proportions are improving. So it all means that there are more people out there who have new home interiors to do, right? And when there are new home interiors to be done, automatically it's a direct corollary that it's an opportunity for not only furniture, furnishing, home decor people, but also the full home solution providers. So the full home solution providers who offer the start to end, from flooring to ceiling to lighting to your carpentry wherever required, to the puja girl to taking care of that cornice, to modular kitchens, modular wardrobes, the sofas, the beds, the whole works, right? So it's a huge opportunity that the retail real estate, I mean the residential real estate is helping. Having said that, it's also important to look at, for me, I think that it's very important for, and it's somewhere caught in the regulatory, I would say, complications, where if more and more real estate developers start looking at completely furnished homes as their offering, as a value add, as a huge differentiator to their customers, like how today modular kitchen being provided by a builder, or in some cases modular wardrobes also being provided by a builder, has become more or less a standard. Yeah. Why can't full home interiors also be? Why can't furniture, the sofas, the recliners, the beds also be done with the touch of individualization? It's not that it's got to be a cookie cutter across all the 100 apartments. If there are enough tools available, software tools available, and front-end tools available for retailers and brands to have managed it. So to me, I think there's a huge opportunity if we are able to get more and more into fully furnished homes. Okay. But if regulatory frameworks are going to be a challenge, I'm told that, people prefer to have their commitments, the real estate developers prefer to have their commitments limited to their the apartment or the homes that they deliver rather than the services of a third party. Understood. I think somewhere there has to be some kind of a mechanism that probably brands, manufacturers, brands, retailers, and real estate people have to come to. Ultimately, we are solving for a problem to the customer. You're going to give them a full home solution. Why not do
That's
that?
happening. I mean, with the sample apartment usually being presented by the more organized, solution providers.
Yeah, so sample flats are happening. I'm not saying no. So when you say sample flats are opening, so let's say we have a 200 apartment complex and you do one sample flat, then you're saying that, okay, other 199 residents, this is available for you as a choice. I'm saying that, is it possible that even before that, the way the builder probably provides the tiles and the way the builder provides the sanitary ware, can they also say that I will provide you with furniture, I'll provide you with curtains, I'll provide you with furnishing, so on, with a choice. I am not saying say that this will be blah blah make and that's what it is and nothing more, nothing less. There is choice available. So it can be like a registry. A registry service can be created where customers should be able to pick up a la carte. And brands, and that's why I said technology and front-end tools are available where brands and retailers would be willing to do that. This
That's a
could be a
great
game
opportunity.
changer in terms of suddenly multiplying the organized side of business.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, today, if you see, largely that moves towards the unorganized or the semi-organized side, right? So, yeah, of course, there's a much larger elephant out there, which is the entire the tax component, which typically becomes it's a white elephant in the room, which people don't want to talk about. But if we are able to look at taxes and easing out the tax structures, again, the industry has to come together, the sector has to come together, and then probably take it to the right authorities. I'm sure no wisdom will prevail in seeing how we can bridge the gap between unorganized and organized directly by that 18% or 20% kind of gap, which is big, right? So, is that possible? So these are dynamics that are happening in the trade and with the customers. If you are able to find some fixes for them, I think the size of the pie, organized pie, will increase multifold. It won't grow incrementally. That's the shift. 15% could suddenly become 30% and 35% rather than 15 becoming 18, 18 becoming 20. Because a real growth, one of the reports that I was reading says that real growth adjusted for, or excluding inflation indexed growth, in India is going to be around 5 to 5.5% for furniture. So the 5% real growth, imagine that for us to probably double our organized thing may take 15 to 20 years. So we look at real growth numbers adjusted for inflation at 15-20%. And if that has to happen, the only way it can happen is there is a larger consumption in an organized manner rather than a piecemeal consumption.
I think a lot of that will happen as more of technology gets imbibed into business operations.
Agreed.
Because I'm seeing that this amorphous interior design has always been a very amorphous kind of a concept. Everything that goes into the house is interior design, but now a a major segment in the category is emerging, that of kitchens and wardrobes. That has got a very defined structure.
Correct.
And it has the capability of being modularized or packaged or cataloged with 10 options being provided and manufactured in mechanized fashion. And interestingly, this is taking up almost 70% of the total interior design budget. I think that's what I've heard in my conversations with various people, that up to 75% is going into kitchens and wardrobes and other cabinetry like vanities and shoe racks and TV units and the like. At Creaticity also, you see this kind of a phenomenon?
So, again, big picture, kitchens and wardrobes are like have now become, as I told you earlier, as a must-have right at the beginning, right? So more or less, every customer, every homemaker, every family wants to ensure that their kitchens and their storage, the wardrobes are done the best possible manner, and therefore they are willing to set aside a significant amount for that. Having said that, I believe that wardrobes compared to kitchens are likely to become a much larger category in times to come.
Okay.
Not only because there are 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms against 1 kitchen. More than that, I think that the needs of the wardrobe are getting more and more better defined than earlier. The his and hers concept itself took some time for it to mature in India. Still maturing, typical apartment where the his and where the hers coming out. But I think now there's going to be further a lot of internal modular internals are being refined as we go along, and I think that people are going to spend more time and effort in doing up their storage compared to their kitchens, which over time are likely to become, I won't say commoditized, but become standardized largely in terms of even the cabinetry that goes in. It's going to be saying that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and period. Whereas the wardrobes are likely to have a much larger play. At Creativity for us, again, being a destination and also a source of interior solutions, we have an entire lane kind of dedicated to modular. And so we have people offering solutions for people who are looking at budgets as low as 10 lakhs and going on all the way up to probably even 50 to 60 lakhs. We're not trying to venture into those 1 crore plus kind of interiors, because that becomes luxe interiors, but the customer does not hesitate or does not have a challenge of hopping onto a plane and heading out to Milan or to Dubai or to Paris. So our focus is on the customer in the middle of the belly. What we think we classify them as the customers who are prestige to premium, for whom design aesthetics is important, price value parity is also important. Price value parity is important, and for whom lifestyles matter. Right. So if the lifestyle matters sort of comes in, then I think there's a huge opportunity for brands and retailers to give their offerings which are tailored for them. So modular kitchens, modular wardrobes are an emerging, growing category. Still, in the overall share of the pie, again, some research that I came across says that it's only about 3 to 4% of the total pie. So living room still takes significantly, I'm talking of India, living room furniture still takes close to about 60% of the share of the wallet. And then the rest is done by the bedroom and the dining room. And finally, you end up with about 3 to 5% for kitchens. Having said this is at a furniture as a category and consumption, not by what you said in terms of one home and its interiors, where you said 60% or 75% goes towards that, and then the rest is left to furniture. I'm talking of because people will buy furniture loose as well, right? So compared to kitchens, which is one kitchen. So I think there is a huge opportunity for kitchens and wardrobes, but I think there's an equally much larger opportunity that's available for the rest of the home to also be serviced by retailers and brands in the full home space. In the full home space, not restricting it only to kitchens and wardrobes. But completely agree to your point that the role of technology is making the modular kitchens and wardrobes far more, I won't say easier, but far more convenient to sell, far more convenient to present, far more convenient to visualize. That's why I was saying that there are a lot of front-end tools that are coming in for the rest of the home interiors also to be seen. You are able to now see how your sofa looks like. You're able to see what the underbelly of your sofa looks like. You can open your hydraulic storage bed and see how many slats are there. So there are methods by which all that's also being made visible. But the front runner for that were kitchen guys and wardrobe guys who started showing the slides and the extension slides and the hinge and the kind of angle of the hinge. So good work done by them. That's what the guys need to carry it on. So that's what I think.
Now that you've spoken about the selling side, what's easier to sell and how things are in retail, in furniture retail or home decor retail, what are the key challenges and what are the opportunities that are emerging?
You are the category at large as well as well as retail. So probably category at large, I think in India, one of the three or four things that are affecting us, I would put it that way. And these are not new, but they make us feel the pain. One is that the availability of raw materials and components for manufacturing the furniture are still not as organized as one would desire to be. And the moment I say organized, I'm talking of transparency, I'm talking of consistency, and I'm talking of reliability, and those aspects of it, and scale. So that's challenge number one. The challenge number two is the use of tech in the production processes is still to be desired, except for the, let's say, top 10% of the manufacturers. So under that gets democratized again, right? So if 50-60% of manufacturers start putting tech in their processes, and when I say tech in their processes, I'm talking of manufacturing processes, not only in terms of efficiency, but also in terms of quality, also in terms of consistency. If that happens, I think then that's a challenge that we are facing. If that is overcome with, again, a lot more awareness, a lot more investments into technology, I'm sure that's another challenge that can be overcome. The third one, which is evident, is the availability or the continuous availability of skilled manpower. Right? So that's an area of concern. Consistent availability is what the challenge. It's not about availability. You get it. You may get people, but the skill is where the challenge is. And skilling and reskilling them and maintaining and sustaining them over time in order to get the consistency in production and consistency in delivery is where another challenge lies. And I was, of course, telling you about the taxation structure also being a bit of a bother. So these are challenges at the sectoral level. So, right. So if these are addressed, as an IKC, it's not being addressed. It is being addressed. Many people are making an effort, but I think we need a much larger effort as industry to come together, as a category to come together and identify. And there are good steps happening. Let's hope that we are able to do more of that and better of that. At the front end, sales front end. So the first challenge that one we see is that there is a stark difference between an unorganized and an organized retailer in terms of the way they approach customers, right? While one's super friendly, while one can offer flexibility in terms of payment, while one can offer flexibility in terms of delivery, can also offer ad hoc and on-call kind of service. The organized players have processes to follow. Organized players have certain SOPs to be ensured, protocols to be adhered to, and all that. And though, therefore, there is a bit of a disconnect or an issue there in terms of how we are able to overcome between. And I'm talking how one can move unorganized to semi-organized to organized. And it's a two-step process. The unorganized guys are the first move to becoming semi-organized, at least where they start standardizing their pricing, sizing, and maybe payment terms and all that. The next one is when they actually start cutting a bill, right, and offering a standardized, I would say, tax invoice. And when that happens is when they are fully organized. So the gap from semi-organized, unorganized to semi-organized needs a lot of effort, and semi-organized to organized needs lesser effort. So I keep telling many people whom I see or meet, saying that let's focus on the semi to full organized. Let's work there. There are people who have standardized quite a bit. There are many one-store wonders across the country, right? And they know their game. These are promoters. These are entrepreneurs who know the game. If we are able to bring them completely to the fold of organized retail, and then that bring in the standardization what we want across processes. I think then again the share of the organized pie, which I keep telling you, is growing in an incremental manner, can start growing at a much more rapid pace. So this is one part on the operational side. The other side is again the way that the products are sold today, right? The salesperson credibility. I mean, this is something that I enjoy talking about, the knowledge of the salesperson and the competence of the salesperson. And these two form what is called a salesperson credibility. That needs to be again standardized. So today, if you see, again, it varies a lot. If you go to the developed world, you see that there's quite a bit. If you go and look at a mattress player and you go to 10 mattress companies, the way the mattress players will talk about the front end people will talk about will be so standardized, right? In terms of the process, in terms of the construction, in terms of the size, everything. Whereas here you will see there's a huge gap, or rather huge variation, not a gap, huge variation in what maybe organized player one talks and two talks or three talks based on a salesperson's knowledge and competence. Okay. Can that be worked upon? Is another area that one would want to look at. The third piece that I always again talk about is standardizing. Again, when I say standardizing, I'm talking about in terms of on the process side, in terms of the entire how it is sold. How can we get out of this flat 40, flat 50, flat 60, and having MRPs which are probably inflated, and then offering a discount and making it look like I have put a heavy discount. How can the entire industry get away from that? I know there are developed countries which when you go there, at some point of time they get insulted if you ask them for any discount which is more than 5%, 6%. They believe that no, if I'm going to be marking up and giving you such kind of discount, then I'm cheating you. It's a different story that you say, Indian psyche and the Indian customer wants discounts, understood, appreciated. But is it possible that at least that can be tempered? Can there be a certain rationale across the community to not have 50s and 60s and 10 years warranty, 15 years warranty? I mean, you will see numbers flying off, which are sometimes difficult to digest. Can there be a certain amount of standardization on that? But that would again bring I won't call level playing field, but at least from a customer's perspective, they believe that okay, all these guys are going to be like this. And I always draw parallels to what happened in the computer industry, right? The PCs. There was a time when India was thriving on assembled PCs. Right. If you recall, probably when we were younger, much younger, right? And today you see the Dells of the world and the Compacts of the world and the HCLs of the world and the Apple, they have standardized. So you get your flexibility in terms of RAMs and ROMs and screen sizes and all of that, but it has become standardized, right? And you see the pricing modules also largely standard. And it took what? That shift was pretty fast. I think it was less than a decade. Way late 90s, this whole, when we had this early 90s, late 90s, I think, 486 and 386 and all that. Suddenly, when we started going to Pentiums and all of that, suddenly you saw a quick jump and suddenly it rapidly scaled up where you now only have an organized industry as far as PCs are concerned. So I am confident that that can happen in the furniture and the home retail category. It takes a lot of effort. And players have to come together. I don't think associations can help, and I don't think efforts of associations can help, even though they are well intentioned. I think the people have to come together, industry has to come together, players have to come together. Let's start small. Let's start at a city level. Each city they start doing it, and it can happen. How do you call it in on gentlemen's terms? Then get into becoming part of a much larger movement. But let's start small to standardize. So this is the other side as far as the one is on the operational side, second is on the salespeople side, and third is on the this what I just now talked about. And the last part is on the kind of technology that people use in the stores.
Yeah.
If we are able to make these technology tools far more helpful without losing the need for touch, without losing the salesperson, because ultimately these two, I mean, my doctoral research also shows that the need for touch is very high in this category, and people prefer to touch and feel before they buy, right? And irrespective of whatever information is available on their website or on their Insta and FB pages, customers still want to talk to a salesperson because they get a sense of assurance. I'm saying that the technology component is critical to ensure that both these are still done, and technology brings an entire seamless convenience to the customer in terms of the pre-sales phase and the delivery phase and the service phase. So this will ensure that you have that the chain which is beautifully I would call it humane. At the same time, it also has got the entire tech part to it. And I know a lot of artificial intelligence being talked about and all that. But I'm saying, yes, they are all required to make humans do better stuff. So, in furniture as a category, home interior as a category is still going to be driven largely by people. And we have seen that online players at one point of time used to say that we will not go offline. And today it's become common parlance to say that no, we have our offline stores as well. Offline stores are user experience centers, and online is where the transactions happen. So it is going to be a blend of both. So let's do that. Use the right kind of technology, deploy the right kind of technology on the front end, which will make the lives of the salesperson easier, and which will also make the life of the end customer, the homemaker, easier. That is when again you will have a better front end sales experience. That's my take on it.
I'll just take you back to the time when you just mentioned the shift from semi-organized to organized in retail. Now, briefly, I don't want to go into take too much time over there, but can you spell out what are the steps that are required to move from for a retailer to move from semi-organized to organized, fully organized?
So I think the big step is in terms of process standardization. Okay? So when I say process standardization, entire sales process has to be standardized all the way up to the billing and all the way up to the customer delivery. Today, that's largely even for a semi-organized. Semi-organized, as I said, is those one-store wonders who are doing very well. They have a good store, well laid out. They have applied their aesthetic, got a beautifully done store, and they have their furniture laid out well, priced right, and sold to customer at reasonable prices. The other part, which is the unorganized part of the semi-organized, happens in terms of the processes that they follow towards the billing and towards the last mile delivery and execution. If that can be standardized, the first big step is for them to move into every sale has to have a bill, right? So that's the first big step. So they are organized on the back end part. I am saying let them also get organized on the front end part, facing the customer. Part one. Part two of getting organized is to follow a certain I would say set of guidelines as far as market operations are concerned. How the market operating prices, how the market operating discounts, delivery times, warranties offered, guarantees offered, service levels offered. Can that be organized?
Documented and inform to the customer.
Yes. So which the moment that happens, as I said, the first big part is I get it from A or B, I get a bill. So that immediately cuts away that so-called what do you call hesitation in the customer's mind that okay, I'll get somewhere without a bill. That hesitation is knocked off. The second part of it is when he sees that there is a certain standardization in terms of the pricing, the discounts being offered, the payment terms being offered, the last minute delivery scope. You will see suddenly taxes extra, delivery extra, written in the customer's in the store. Automatically, the customer gets in a negotiation, and automatically the tax becomes part of the negotiation and removed, and delivery becomes free delivery. See, all these are accepted practices or habituated practices.
We are familiar with them. We see them happening in, if not in furniture, in
challenge
other.
them is the question. I'm not saying that, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Can we challenge them and say, boss, let us bring in a certain amount of parity, and everybody has a bill. So automatically the entire market cuts a bill. So you know that there's no place where I'm not going to get a bill, therefore the tax component is a must. The second is everywhere there is a certain level of discounts that are may the best man still win because of their skills, because of their product, because of the difference that they bring to the table, the solutioning that they do, let it all happen. But let that not happen because of this disparity that happens because of the tax structure or the credit terms that they give or the other SOPs that are given. In an organized manner. I am not saying don't do any of that. Do it in an organized way. And if everybody in the market, let's say Kirti Nagar market is one of those markets is a standing example of how it's evolved, right? We've seen it evolve over so many years. It's reaching that stage where everybody wants to, it is organized, right? So can more and more happen there and across all parts of the country. That's the shift that can happen from semi-organized to organized.
Now, let's come to the business of kitchens, modular kitchen, the kitchen retail business. And as you would be aware, it is all driven by the franchise model. And I think how well you do your franchising, it what makes or breaks your business as a kitchen manufacturer or a kitchen brand.
Oh.
So, what are the challenges here? What are the how can a kitchen brand build a successful franchise so that he's able to multiply his outlets and also ensure that every franchisee gets a good deal, good ROI?
So it's a tough one to crack. Some of our industry players, some of our market players have successfully done that. But I think to me, the kitchen business is a lot of personal effort that is required at the time of sale, more than that after the sale, right? So if the franchising models are worked out, you have, I'm not getting into the jargon of FOFO, COFO and all that. I'm saying if it can be done to an extent where the franchisee, why does the kitchen brand look for a franchisee? They want to see that they are able to spread their wings. They want to keep their capex low. They want to keep their opex low, and they want to get a certain share of a certain market. I'm saying if the models can be flipped, the thought process, one of the thought processes, I'm not saying the only thought process. One of the thought processes could be that the local franchise partner is brought on board because of their knowledge of the local land, of the local lay of the land. They know the market very well. Leverage that. But can they ensure that the entire after the sale customer experience? So, you have the pre-sales, you have the in-sales, and you have the post-sales. I am talking the in-sales. So sales ho gaya, the order is done, drawings have been signed off. Till that time, the franchisee is part of it. And the entire in-sales, in the case of kitchens, in-sales is primarily the entire installation part. Post-sales is later, after the whatever. If that can be taken over by the companies, the brands themselves, I think the ability to scale will be faster. Yes, the question that arises is that why would if I have to do all of that, I might as well run the entire show. I'm saying no. Your challenge is the real estate. Your challenge is your familiarity with the local lay of the land. But your challenge is not your product. Your challenge is not the way the product has to be installed. So can you build your entire installation crew so powerfully? And again, there are methods available, outsourcing is available. Large companies have tried that and successfully tried that, where you are able to standardize and get your installers trained and certified and so on. If that happens, I think the ability to franchise will be faster. So
Well,
that struggle that today one is
these,
seeing in terms of being able to open franchises is when you tell the franchise that you'll have to do this, you'll have to have this place, you'll have to invest in the merchandise, you'll have to invest in your people, you'll have to get them trained, you'll have to have the software, you'll also have to install, you'll have to deliver. The moment these two cycles start happening together, the customer, the franchisee who's probably one of the maybe an entrepreneur from that side of the city or town will end up focusing on customer deliveries and customer grievances, and kitchens more often than not can give a bit of grief. So you end up going there and you have 10 sites or 5 sites going on, suddenly the business can start dwindling. So you start focusing here, customer experience start focusing. Can you separate the two? Is one of my thoughts. I mean, I believe that the customer experience should still be largely owned by the brand and its people, and the entire sales experience,
the business
sales
development,
can
the
be by
BD
the
side.
that's one
One
thing.
of these installation companies, the technology-driven installation companies, I was speaking to them, and they had a very beautiful uh, proposition. They said, we are helping the kitchen manufacturers. The local companies go national, and the national companies go local.
Well said, well articulated, and it's possible, right? So it's a beautiful way to make the smaller guys also become bigger, and the bigger guys to go local. So but today, I sort of get an idea of whom you're referring to. There are again far and few. You need a lot more.
Yes.
A lot more. And every kitchen company, every kitchen manufacturer today, kitchen brand today, focuses a lot on the product, right? And the innovations in the product and innovations in the kind of hardware that they use and so on. All I'm saying is if they can equally, I'm not saying don't do, equally also start looking at standardizing the in sales experience. If that can happen, they start running. And I am telling you, the franchisees will be happier to work on a lower margin, right? And make it happen because they are going to be focusing on their strength, which is the sales side of it. And the installation is handled by the company. So yes, some of the large full home interior players have started doing that. I know that they have started doing this. So therefore, there is a certain test case available to us to see that, okay, this is workable. So I'm just saying that answering your question on whether it can happen for the kitchen industry, yes, it can. Certainly it can.
So are you seeing any movement on the international front? Are there international overseas brands in kitchens and wardrobes and other modular interested to come into India?
See,
Interested to make it in?
I can tell you that most of them are interested in coming to India. Most of them believe that India is a huge market, and of course there are standard metrics of population, and therefore 1% of it, 2% of it, and that still runs into millions of households. So I'm not taking that as a point, but they are keen to enter India. They are just not so sure in which model to enter India. Right? And when I say which model, should there be one master franchisee, or should there be city-based franchises, or should there be a dealer channel, or should there be, so there are many, or should it be owned? Can they come on their own with a local partner and run everything?
Or should they make in India?
Don't make in India. Invest in India to do the showrooms together, uh, give the displays, train the people, and then have the franchisee to run the business. So there are different models that are being worked upon. I for one know, for example, Fabelcaza from Italy, right? So we are working with them. So when we had conversations with them, their thought process was clear. They said that we are keen to come to India. The question is, how do we reach all of India? Right. So when an international brand comes to India, they obviously want scale. They obviously want a share of the market. They obviously want a good slice of the pie. And I think we have seen that there are companies who have done it. So we have examples of many companies who've been there for quite a while, right? From whether it's Veneta or Hacker or Nolte or whatever. So all these companies have come to India and working closely with their local partners and ensuring that there is a certain sustenance and sustainability that's happening. But can it become larger? Yes. Uh, interestingly, the imports into India of furniture is actually pretty low. So because the size of the market is so big, one, and second is I told you right, fifth largest market, and second is there's so much of local production that the imports in India are very low. I mean, and when I say very low, within the categories of furniture, especially luxury, is where there's more momentum. You do not see it in the on the prestige side or on the affordable side to a large extent. Though there is a what they believe is affordable is still Bristol luxury for India. Right? So compared to European standards. So there is a huge opportunity for them to come to India. Whether they are utilizing it completely, difficult to say. Again, I think if if I were to sort of envision how we can get more and more of these brands to come to India, we'll have to create an India story. The Indian industry, the Indian players have to come together to create an India story. And then, of course, working and see, revolutions call for innovative methods, right? So I would probably call for a consortium. I would say that 5 or 6 of the major players who are interested in bringing these international brands should come together, form a consortium, create an India story, go to these international brands and say, hey, this is the opportunity. And then, of course, sit and talk with them in a way that we are able to not only tell them the merit of being here, but also the benefits of being here, right? So if that is possible, it's a two-way win. So they'll also win and we'll also win. One player alone going and trying to get a large international player, I mean, somebody who produces uh, 3,000 kitchens a day, right? For them, when you go there and tell them that I'll be able to give you 300 kitchens a year, they say, why do I have to enter this market? You get my point. But imagine if a consortium or a bunch of guys go together and say that, hey, we'll be able to give you a scale to the extent of maybe 50 outlets, 100 outlets in India, and I'll be able to. Even then, it is still small for them. But at least they say, okay, it means that I'm going to get 1,000 kitchens a month. I can do 10,000 kitchens a year, and then 3 times that the wardrobes. Suddenly, the market looks much more opportune, much more greener. But yeah, that again, as I told you, it calls for a mindset innovation. Not going to be as easy as one thinks. But yeah, we'll keep trying. So we have to keep trying.
Well, Mahesh, this has been an amazing ringside view
Yeah.
of the furniture industry and all the opportunities and the challenges that you've listed out. I think a lot of all that is quite doable, and with the right doses of technology and with intent to give value to the customer.
Yeah.
I think a
So
lot of that.
I would probably say that there's got to be some purposeful policy making that happens by the industry leaders, right? And if they come together and if we all come together and say that this is how we want to lead or drive this category into the next decade, right? And as I said, it can't happen through typical association. I'm not saying they won't, but I think it'll get bureaucratic. Can it be done driven with only business in mind and only relationships in mind, only growth in mind? There has to be some purposeful policy making. There have to be, I would say, sectoral modernization that has to happen. Right? The entire sector has to get modernized. There is rising consumerism. So how can we leverage this rising consumerism with some significant, sizable sectoral modernization? And for that, what are the steps that we need to take? Need to be probably literally nailed and then cast in stone, and then a bunch of guys come together, a bunch of companies come together, a bunch of well-wishers come together, a bunch of growth evangelists come together, drive it. And as I said, I'm always happy to be part of it in whatever small way that I can. I'd love to do it and see that we're able to move this category to the next possible. I mean, we can't become CDIT for sure, but can we significantly grow? Yes, it is possible. I'm hopeful.
Well, the Home and Home Plus conclave is, I think, one important landmark and platform
Very true, very
where
true.
you can bring this up and put it across to the
Yeah, so
industry.
this year I'm so glad that you brought it up towards the end. I'm so glad. 15th of Feb. So I'm taking the opportunity to invite you and all the viewers to the Home and Home Plus Conclave happening right here in Pune at the Ritz-Carlton on the 15th of Feb. And at this conclave, what we intend to do this year is actually, you said a precursor today, Deepak. It's going to be talking about what is, in fact, the theme is, it's called org.gro, right? And it's a beautiful word.
Organize and grow.
Yeah, it's organized growth. And can we grow organically? Can we grow in an organized manner? And how do we enable that? How do we facilitate that? That's going to be the entire day's conversation all about. And we are, I mean, continuously now we've sort of more or less got more than 60% of the speaker panel, speaker lineup done. So there are going to be powerful stories told. There's going to be some very interesting perspectives shared. And this year we're also bringing in the design community, right? So, and I promised that last year towards the end, I said I'll have the design community coming in. So we're going to have the design community also coming in. So there are going to be perspectives brought, myths broken probably of what the design or architect community wants, what brands are giving, and whether that's acceptable, not acceptable, all of that. More importantly, to see how whether we can bring some hard facts to the table on how we can grow this category into the next decade, right? And measured. It's not going to be only wishful thinking. Can that be measured? So that's the big day plan. 15th of Feb. Again, it's going to be a hectic day of knowledge sharing and also networking. So we're going to get with all the industry guys, all the industry gentlemen and ladies who are going to be there are passionate about a category, and I'm sure that collectively the voice can be more powerful than individual one. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. Certainly looking forward to meeting you there, seeing you there, and probably, of course, help us to make it even better than what it is. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be a part of it. And I look forward to seeing you there soon.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm happy that I was able to share some insights, a lot more that I have, but then I think it'll take hours. So maybe
Yeah,
at a
of
later
course.
time and we can
Another time.
slice and dice the topics. But yeah, it's been interesting. The question that you asked were in a way opening up my mind as well to share from the heart. So, and whatever I shared, I think are based on whatever I've heard from others and based on industry voices. So I'm hopeful that it reaches people, and if people are able to pick up some threads from it, I think that's more than enough.
Well, Mahesh, thanks a lot. And see you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.